This is the Ichigo Kurosaki TriEagle Titanium series 1/4 scale statue. I'm not sure which part of it's titanium, or maybe it's the base, maybe the weight on the base, because the base was quite heavy. Sorry, it is quite heavy. So I'm not sure whether that's the part that's titanium. But this is my first 1/4 scale that I've had delivered, so I'm quite new. It's pretty much my first year collecting actual statues. So I've got a 1/6 scale figurine next to it just to show you the scale. So this statue stands around 30 inches tall. The highest point on the statue is his cape at the back. So real estate wise, it's pretty decent. I think it's around the 20 inches wide, 22 inches wide, so it can fit in most display cabinets. At first I was quite skeptical getting this one. Being new to statue collecting, I didn't really know what I was buying really. As long as it looked good on the picture, I kind of purchased it, and luckily this one came out quite good. TriEagle's quite a big licensed studio, and this is one of the pieces. But I'm showing you now the piece that I accidentally broke. It didn't come like this in shipping. I moved it and then I didn't realise it was sticking out, and it cracked, so I've glued it together. I've just put the tape on it to hold it in place until the glue holds it properly. But other than that, everything else was pretty good. No breakages in the actual in the unboxing. I didn't film it, I thought I did, but I must have forgot. But I just wanted to show you, this is more of a review of what I think of the statue. So the base has got quite a bit of detail on the wood. This is from the Soul Society arc. So being quite a big Bleach fan, I grew up on Bleach. So this was pretty much an easy purchase for me. And luckily I did purchase it because this is, from my knowledge, the only 1/4 scale statue licensed of Ichigo, so I'm quite pleased I picked it up. The only thing that was strange is that the edition size online was a little bit more than what it said on the bottom and the coin that I got. So this statue comes with a coin, and the edition size on it says a bit less. I think it's like 320. Don't quote me on that, but it's around that kind of mark. But online it said a bit higher than that, so I'm not sure whether not as much people pre-ordered it, and that's why they dropped the edition size by like 20 or 50. I'm not sure how much it was, but either way I've got mine, which is pretty good, and it's pretty much sold out on every other site. It's hard to get a hold of. I think it's gone on eBay for around the 1,800 mark. I purchased this for around, I want to say no more than 800-900. So this is the coin I was talking about. So it says edition size 318, but online the edition size was a little bit higher than that. So at first I thought I got a fake, but clearly it's not a fake. It's more a case of, I'm guessing they changed last minute how many they were going to actually make. But I'm pretty impressed with this coin, to be fair. It's like a nice little add-on, and it makes me want to buy more TriEagle statues. But obviously, clearly, I want to get statues that I generally like. I'm trying to be a bit more selective, because I've heard when you first start collecting statues, you get a whole bunch of stuff that you really don't want because you're new to it, and it's kind of like a new thing to do. But yeah, I'm trying to be a bit more selective in what I get. Obviously I'm going to get some purchases that I'm not going to like in the long run and that I'm not going to date well, but I think this one will date pretty good. Got quite a bit of texture on his clothes as well as the whole full statue, so I can't imagine that being outdated. So this was the assembly instructions. They were pretty useful, but I pretty much worked out what needs to go where. Pretty simple. I did find issues though collecting some of the electric bits around them. That was a bit annoying. But in total, it probably took me about half an hour tops to put it all together. But I was quite impressed with the overall size as well, considering this is my first 1/4 scale statue. It was quite overwhelming. I was like, oh, wow, I didn't realize how big it was going to be. But now that I've collected a few, he stands around the average of the 1/4 scale statues I'm getting. But I have no faults with this one. In fact, I think this will probably go up in value considering it's licensed and it's the only 1/4 scale of Ichigo. But I can't imagine myself selling that at any point anyway. In terms of display, the ideal display for me is just him facing forwards. Turning them all the way around isn't as, it's got detail at the back with the wood, but the capes in a way you don't really get to see much detail of Ichigo himself. So my favourite angle of him is straightforward, or the 3/4 angle from the left or the right. Texture wise, like I said, pretty good texture on everywhere, and it's not overdone with 1/4 scale statues. Sometimes because it's bigger, the texture can be a little bit too big and it looks unrealistic, for what it's worth. But this one they've done pretty well, considering when you paint it, the paint absorbs some of the texture, so it doesn't look as good. But they've done a good balance here. They've obviously thought it through. No issues with the structure of it. Really sturdy, got quite a bit of weight to it. The delivery shipping cost, I believe, let me just have a look, I can't remember how much it was. I think it was about 200, if I'm not mistaken, 150, if I'm not mistaken. Ichigo 1/4, yeah, so about 200. So I paid 200 for shipping and £620 for the actual statue itself. Considering it's worth around 1,800 now, that I'm pretty pleased that I bought that early and pre-ordered it. Because if I was to get that now, obviously clearly I would be £1,000 out of pocket, which could have gone on another statue or somewhere else. Just zooming in a bit more so you can see some of that texture on the wood. As you can see, pretty realistic. Not to the point where obviously competing with like high-end realistic statues, but good for an anime, really good for an anime statue. Even a Marvel statue, some of the Marvel DC statues that I've seen anyway. And as you can see, you're picking up some of that texture on his clothes as well and his cape. So they've done it really well. But the reason I wanted to collect this statue in particular is because this is the scene from the Soul Society arc when he saves Rukia. And I think, for me, this is quite an iconic pose and an iconic moment in Bleach. And I kind of wanted to make sure that I could have it and pretty much look at it every day, which is good. That's the whole reason I collect these statues. It's not really it's not really to invest in it to sell later on, because clearly there's other means you can do that with that will be a lot better. For me, it's more about the art. I do art in my spare time, and I like art around when I'm and so forth. So in terms of the model, I like to always judge it based on 100% of the actual overall character. So with Ichigo, face sculpt wise, in general, I'd probably give him out of 100%, maybe a 90%. His face is a little bit too slim, but for what I've seen compared to the unlicensed statues and even some of the licensed statues, this is one of the better face sculpts out there. So you can only go based on what's out there. So based on the actual manga or anime, I would give it about a 90 to 95% on model overall. I like the muscle definition. I'm quite pleased they got that in there. Typically, statues tend to, when it comes to anime anyway, make them look a bit too thin. So it was quite nice that the muscle definition was picked up by TriEagles. Really good studio. And I literally have no issues with the actual overall anatomy of Ichigo on that. I think his clothes are really well. There is some There could always be some improvements, obviously, clearly, but nothing major that sticks out at all. The orange on his hair is pretty good. Sometimes that can come out as too yellow, so I'm quite pleased that they actually made the orange, and the contrast from dark to light on his hair also emphasizes the orange. So I'm just showing you back and forth here the difference in the orange from the picture to the actual sculpture. They've used highlights of blue for his bandages, which I think was quite nice. At first I thought it would look a bit too cartoony, but it does look pretty nice considering, you know, the effects around him are blue. And it's also got a light up feature on the base. I should have probably recorded that, but I didn't. What I'll do is I'll try and attach to the end, but that's pretty much it for this video, and I will see you next time. Thanks, bye bye.